This is the Realty Classroom Podcast, episode number 175. How to seek clear outcomes. Are you a real estate agent who wants to turn your real estate job into a business without sacrificing your lifestyle, but you just can't seem to find the right plan or any plan to help you get there? Well, then, hey, you are definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Realty Classroom and the host of this podcast. Now, to help you take immediate action to get started in the right direction, I've created a free jumpstart course for you, and it's waiting at freeagentgift.com. freeagentgift.com. Get over there and get yourself a digital copy to that. All right, how to seek clear outcomes. What does this mean? Well, lately in the mastermind coaching group, what I've seen is that as time has gone on, so much business is available to us, and we just don't seek a clear outcome when it's in front of us, and then we wonder why we don't have enough business. Now, in my business, we're able to purchase certain leads, and you all are. Anybody can go out and purchase leads tomorrow morning. Do you have a credit card? You're in, okay? So there's no shortage of contact information for people who may or may not be interested in doing anything at all with respect to real estate. But there are a lot of contextual leads you could buy, from expireds to probates to buyer leads, on and on and on it goes. And that's in addition to all the sphere of influence marketing that you might be able to do to identify people. So there are trillions of dollars that get transacted in this business every year in the United States alone, but yet we run around with this scarcity mentality. Why? Because we just don't understand how to seek clear outcomes on each individual contact. So let me hit the first point. How do you fix all this? Well, the first point is, when you decide, let's say you want to pursue listing leads, and in my case, I like expireds, but that doesn't mean that every expired is a great opportunity. It means that a lot of them are not. So how do you determine which ones are or are not? Well, the first point is determine that there's a real why. Literally, before recording this podcast, I was on with an expired listing. And the first thing that the telemarketing department asks, passes on to me so I can have an instructive and good, solid outcome on that call is, do they have a real why? Why am I going on the phone with them? Did the telemarketing department determine that they had a real why? And there was one. Okay, so for example, what is a real why? A real why is, look, we're older now. We never get to see our only child, who lives about 2 hours away from here. She never comes down. We don't go up, so we don't see them. And all of a sudden, we recognize that at this point in our life, that is the most important thing to us. So then, on a scale of 1 to 10, right? Now we have to start to go deeper. But there's a real why. And that's the thing to be pursued. So many of you might find that somebody has a general interest and you presume that that's a prospectable situation from you. See, let me go back to this. I talk about it a lot in this podcast because it's simple, and I'm going to repeat it until you get it. Even if you're listening for the first time, it's simple. A contact, a fully formed contact, is somebody's name, their email address, their telephone number, and their mailing address, right? That's what it is. That's fully formed. That means you can contact them, market them, communicate with them in multiple mediums. So you have a fully formed contact, but it changes in disposition as it travels through your business. So when you first have some contact information, you have to label it a lead. And a lead in my world, and the way that I define it at the Realty Classroom, which nobody ever did for me, was you don't know anything about why they want to move, if at all. So is there even a why? You don't know. And if there is a why, what's the level of motivation currently attached to that why? Those are two separate questions. And that's the second point here, is determining that there's a high level of motivation. Right? So there's the why, and then determining the high level of motivation. Now, let me go a little bit into this. I mean, it sounds easy. And a lot of gurus and coaches and trainers out there say, well, you have to, determine level of motivation. Well, how motivated are you? Well, it sounds so easy to add to a script, whether you're talking to them on the phone, face to face, you're in a meeting, whatever it might be. It sounds easy, but you must systematize it. Not so much for you as much it is for the person that is trying to go through the process to give you a straight answer. So many of you say, oh, these buyers and these sellers, they're liars. Wah, wah, right? No, we're not good enough to ask the best questions in the best order to help them tell us whether they're prospectable for us. And what's a prospectable? That means that contact that you have goes from the disposition of lead to all of a sudden prospect, which in my world now is a very exclusive club. Meaning that we take it very seriously. If you're going to move along in our business where we offer the next level of service, which is typically following up with you for free, giving you all our best what to do information, beginning to border on giving you our best insight on top of that. This is all before you become a client, the third disposition, right? So lead to prospect, that prospect club becomes everything. There is, I'm going to go back to this. There is so much value out there being transacted, and we have this weird scarcity mentality. If we would only slow down, start with less leads. Yes, you heard me say it, especially to you dang top producers. We're all a bunch of crazy people looking for this massive volume, and you keep screaming, you get a little cream off the top all the time, and you act as if that's smart. It's not. It's not. Slow down and figure out what seller contact information you're able to acquire and make sure it fits your avatar, meaning it's in the geography and at the median price or above, because this is a business, and margin matters, meaning what you get minus what you pay equals what you keep, okay? You want to keep squeezing yourself down to the lowest end, and you have to do massive volume to make up with it, and that is really a difficult business model. So that sense of avatar helps us start off by saying, are we even starting with the contact information that are disposed to be leads that would provide us the right business opportunity to be profitable? Now that person comes in, and look, I'm not going to get down into the whole idea. You really should start giving away your best stuff for free. You better figure out what your best stuff is, package it up, and give it away for free. That's what we do. I changed that as part of my business model. Now maybe like close to 7 years ago, and it made a massive difference. Not quickly. There was no magic pill. I had to give a lot of the best information away, packaged up, curated, organized, the best stuff in the best order, just so I could fulfill and be in this relationship where I was able to get a real reason why. Don't be cagey with me. I'm asking you a simple question. You can have my best stuff for free, do business with me, or don't. But you need to answer for me in exchange why. Interesting. Okay? Now, that's an interesting reason for moving. As I find you here today in this conversation on a scale of 1 to 10, what level motivation are you? And we keep pressing now. See, this is a fabulous question that I learned from Fred Reichel's book, which I think is now called The Ultimate Question 2.0. And Reichel wrote a book more so about whether somebody was likely to refer, right? So after the deal had been done, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to refer the business? Now, anything that wasn't a 9 to 10 was very unlikely to refer. 9 to 10s, they're probably going to refer. You should spend some time with them post-closing. But 8 to 7, somewhere in there, is neutral. They're not really going to do anything. And 6 to 1, you better go find out what you did wrong and at least bring it up to neutral. That was his premise. So applying that same logic to this, you're helping somebody actually force themselves to say, I don't know, I'm an 8. Now that sounds high, but what we would say is, why so low? Well, geez, I thought, nope. In our experience, the people that actually want to buy for a good reason need to be motivated up around a 9 to 10 to get themselves through it, to hear our advice, to take our guidance correctly. You got to get up there first, because otherwise you're going to shut down where there's a resistance there. right? And if they're obviously lower than an 8, well, then really something's off. It could be the timing. It could be the lack of knowledge. It could be fear. Sometimes in those lower levels, right there in the first meeting, well, if I could get you pre-qualified, how would you feel? Oh, I'd be a 10. Oh, no problem then. Let's work on that. Or when do you think you'll be a 9 to 10? Well, I won't be a 9 to 10 until June because I don't get the job transfer. See what I'm saying? The correct questions are helping us come to the clear outcome whether or not a lead can be moved to the very special club of prospect, where all of those people in there should absolutely have a real why and a real motivation at a 9 to 10 somewhere in the next calendar 12 months maximum. That's my goal. And hopefully it's squeezing down from there as you get better. But most of you don't have anywhere near the capacity to follow up diligently or the systems for 12 months, let alone 6, let alone you cream scrapers who are panicked every time there's nobody on the phone, every time the list comes out or your prospects, your leads come in that month, right? You're trying to scrape the cream in the next 30 days. Insane. So I want to determine a real why. And when will they be a 9 to 10 in calendar year, right? And did they accept our best information of what to do? And are we in a relationship going forward where we're keeping them up to date on the market, what's selling so the buyers can see what the money's buying in addition to what's for sale, and the sellers are seeing what sells around them, and then our seller or buyer tips, period. That's all we want to be doing so that when we call up, we're not saying, are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? Are you ready? We're saying, hey, did you see the latest market update? We think it means this. Hey, did you see that the house sold down the street from you? That was a pretty good price. Are you still getting our tips because June is coming? Right? So that's how you do it. And what the effect is the third point here. Don't bloat your database with delusional prospects, meaning you're delusional that they're prospects. Not them. You're delusional. This database bloat, even still to this day in my own business, am I really fighting to make sure that my telemarketing department, my agents, that people just don't put people in the database and mark them as a prospect whimsically. Because now all of a sudden, and you can hear it, by the way, we give away an eavesdrop onto our telemarketing training every single Friday. It's broadcast live on our Facebook page. It's broadcast live on our YouTube channel. You can go back and listen to me doing this very thing with people. And I am a very direct coach because I want people to be successful faster. I don't want to sit there and patronize it. Whoa, what are you saying here? You're not coming to a clear outcome. Now what are you going to do? You told them, I'll call you back. You're calling back when? To say what? You had them on the phone. Is there a why? Is there a motivation level at 9 to 10 in the next 12 months? If not, end it right there. Try to bring it to a conclusion. Well, look, keep us in mind. It doesn't sound like you have a real reason to sell. We think you should stay there. That's great. And move on. Because what you're trying to do is bring Lazarus back from the dead every time you bloat your database with some delusion that dead lead, meaning it died and it should come out of the database. But you bloat it by sticking it in. And now you're burying the really good people, the real prospectables that you're forgetting to follow up with. You see why we're in such a scarcity mentality? We won't clean under our own roof, aka database, right? And lastly is the point, let me go a little bit deeper into that point I just skimmed over. I set a goal for my agents and my own, I use telemarketers for my own book of business now that it's expanded, right? And I set them a very clear number of people and an average value for the property so that they can begin to see the scoreboard and whether they're there. Now, that top or power 20 list, right? That can be a massive number pretty quickly depending where you live. Now, you might have to make it a little longer if you live in a part of the country where the median or average sale is lower. I get it. But it's a smaller list than you think. And at the top of it is who's most likely to become my listing or my buyer client this next month, February. And if I don't have anybody on that list, well, somewhere prior to, I wasn't prospecting correctly. It's that simple. And so now that you have that 20, you are over the top serving them. In fact, in the last week alone, telemarketing sent me 2 people who have beautiful homes in a Tony address that I think it's just a matter of how well we can do. But nobody helped them figure out how they're going to get to their next purchase. Nobody. Everybody just wanted to take, and nobody wanted to look. So see, as you're refining what to do with those prospects, you can serve them much more clearly, and you're not going back to somebody who's, well, I told you the last time you called me, I wasn't interested. Oh, sorry. Now you delete them? See what I mean? So this is a time management issue at some point in time. So let me go back over these points, okay? How to seek clear outcomes, right, is the subject here. One, you first, every time you're talking to a contact who is a lead, you don't know why. So determine that there's even a real why they want to sell or buy. Two, with the same person, determine that there's a high level of motivation. And on a 1 to 10 scale, and keep pressing with that question. Can you give me a number? Because people are very high. Well, what's the number? It helps them clarify in their head for you and them where they're really at. So all this, they're lying to me. They're not. They don't know how to articulate it. So help them. Determine there's a high level. That's 9 to 10. You want some more homework on that? Go read Fred Reichel's book, The Ultimate Question 2.0. Third, the reason we do this is because we want that clarity that that's a real prospect. Don't bloat your database with all these prospects that aren't. And worse, please don't pour a bunch of garbage leads into your database. That's even worse. That's a whole other subject. Lastly, when you have that, serve those people first before you keep looking for new ones in your lead list. Serve them and continuously refine them. Some will all of a sudden, something will happen, or you'll graduate them to clients. So you're trying to maintain that list. So serve and refine that prospect list. All right. Let me summarize it by saying this. One of the greatest tragedies, and I mean tragedies, in the real estate agent business is that agents often find more than enough potential buyers and sellers for them to be successful selling properties. But they lack the systematic approach to build a list of prospects where the outcome is clear. The key point is to determine that the prospect has a real reason to buy or sell, and that inside the next 12 months, that same prospect will be motivated to do so at a level of 9 to 10 on a 1 through 10 scale. Okay, remember, you can take immediate action and get started in the right direction with our free simple business plan that's waiting for you over at freeagentgift.com. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen. We also broadcast our live telemarketing training calls on Facebook and YouTube every Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. So remember, all you have to do is turn on the page and channel notifications for the Realty Classroom, and you won't miss the reminders. We'd also appreciate it if you would share our content with other real estate agents just like you so that they also get the help that they need. Sharing is caring. Please do it. Remember, I always sign off the same way. Nobody's coming for you. Absolutely nobody. So go get to work on your business, and we will see you in the next episode to help you do just that. Thanks again for listening.